Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to look at some news coming out from Netflix, and this is kind of interesting, and maybe not in a good way from a business sense for Netflix, but I am curious to see how the project actually turns out. Now, Netflix announced that they would be picking up a movie from Joe and Anthony Russo, the directors of Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, and also Captain America Civil War and Captain America the Winter Soldier. And the movie is called The Gray Man. It's based off of a series of kind of spy novels, kind of like things in the Jason Bourne type of vein, I would assume, something like that. I've never read the books, so I can't comment 100%, but the project is going to be starring Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans. And from the description, it seems like Ryan Gosling is going to be a CIA agent that is going to defect, and basically Chris Evans is going to be the guy that comes in to try and hunt him down. And Ryan Gosling, I guess, is supposed to be kind of the hero of the story, or at least that's kind of how this description kind of shapes out. And Chris Evans is going to be the bad guy, or at least the antagonist. Maybe not necessarily a bad guy, but the antagonist. Which is a bit different, because usually he's the hero. Actually, almost always he's the hero. The only film that I can think of where he was kind of a bad guy was Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and even then it was kind of like a corny type of thing. It wasn't really a serious bad guy. In this, they're going back to more of like a spy thriller thing. They even say that it's Anthony Russo even says that they're kind of going back to that Captain America Winter Soldier vibe that they had, except taking it in a bit more of a realistic sense without the superhero elements. So now the thing is that Netflix has stated that they are picking this thing up, and this is going to be their most expensive original movie to date. This movie is going to cost over $200 million or more to make. Which is a lot of money, especially for a production budget. That is a AAA studio production, and Netflix lately, admittedly, their stock has gone up. Their stock has gone up quite a bit because of the coronavirus, because everybody's home and everybody's watching Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and all these other streaming services. So they have the money right now to kind of get away with this. So I'm interested to see where that goes, but the thing is, I don't think they're going to be able to keep up this kind of financial pumping in of all this money into these movies, because they were already running into a little bit of a wall before the coronavirus, where they shelled out a bunch of money for The Irishman, they shelled out a bunch of money for Red Notice, which is that movie they're going to be coming out with Ryan Reynolds and The Rock and Gal Gadot. So, they had shelled out a lot for various projects in the last, 12 to 18 months. And now we're going into this. But again, their stock value went up considerably, considering the coronavirus stuff. So I'm assuming they have some play money. So this is probably what they chose to invest it in, because this was getting shopped around, I think, by Anthony and Joe Russo and their production company. And Netflix decided they wanted to pick it up, and the Russos said that they probably wanted to do it because they had also produced Netflix's Extraction with Chris Hemsworth, that was supposedly their biggest movie ever to hit the platform. Again, that's according to their numbers. So yeah, I understand the financial choice of moving forward with it now because you have the play money, but at the same time, they could find themselves in another rut like what they had previously, because they were hemorrhaging money for a couple of years there when they were trying to get all these really big budget films off the ground. I expected them to actually kind of go more towards smaller productions. Keep up your mainstays. Cause I know they're going to keep making seasons of, Stranger Things and stuff like that. But they had lost the Marvel properties. The Marvel the Marvel Netflix properties were canceled. They weren't going to be making any more of those. All of the Disney and Fox movies pretty much were getting pulled off of there to go on to Disney Plus. There was a lot of stuff that it felt like almost like the walls were closing in on Netflix to an extent. when you watch this, when you watch what was actually happening to them from a financial and a social perspective. But now, because they have this more free will, they've chosen to branch out. But I think a better move probably would have been for them to invest in smaller projects. Again, it's not saying you can't get big actors, because you're looking at a movie that they actually came out with called the Red Sea Diving Resort, I believe was the name of it. It also starred Chris Evans. Smaller movie. I'm assuming it didn't have an outrageous budget. It's a very kind of compact story. It doesn't involve these huge amazing set pieces like a superhero film would or something like that. I thought they were going to go more towards those type of productions, which I like in addition to the tentpole stuff. But I think the problem is that Netflix is. I think the problem right now really is that movie theaters are not open, or movie theaters are open in very limited fashion. And once movie theaters reopen fully, I think you're going to see Netflix is going to be back in kind of having issues again. To an extent, I'm talking, years and years down the road. Maybe nothing recently. I think the next 12 to 24 months, the next 2 years, Netflix is probably going to be riding on cloud nine because of all the Corona stuff. Because people are going to want to stay in more than go out and watch a film. Again, that's subjective to people in general, but I think most people are probably going to have that type of an attitude towards it, where they'd rather sit home and watch Netflix rather than go out to the movies because of either the risk of getting infected, or that you have to wear a mask, or the prices are probably going to be jacked up because those theaters are going to need money, and they're going to need money fast. So there's going to be a number of things that are going to be coming out, but at the same time, I think you're having kind of a resurgence of the drive-ins, which I made a video on before. Walmart is talking about putting in drive-ins. Other drive-ins are receiving more influx of people because you naturally can social distance with that because you're in different cars, so you don't have to be in contact with random people. There's not a person sitting on either side of you that you don't know and you've never met. Like you would, or that, you don't have people sitting literally arm to arm with you and in front and in back, and you're just crunched into a little area like you are in a regular movie theater. So I think that once theaters get back on their feet, and I think they will eventually, I think Netflix is going to be back in the same rut. And I think if they don't start banking money and they don't start getting a system down where they're putting out these smaller productions and kind of staying away from these massive tentpole films that are costing them hundreds of millions of dollars, I think that they'd be better off in the long run. But again, that's just kind of my personal opinion. As for the actual project itself, which is really more what I'm looking at here, you got good actors, you got good directors. The writers of it were Anthony Russo and a few others that also collaborated with him. Some of them from like Captain America: Civil War and some previous films that they had done together. So I think the writing team is solid, the directing team is solid, the actors that they have right now, at least the two leads, seem to be very solid. I think maybe Chris Evans more than Ryan Gosling at this point, because Ryan Gosling has had some kind of flops in the past few years. But again, he's gotten a lot of traction because he's been in Oscar talk and stuff like that for things like La La Land. So he's still, he's a very in-demand actor. I think Chris Evans is a bit more in demand, but again, that's just me. But I'm interested to see that. I'm interested to see Chris Evans play a serious bad guy. I'm interested to see Ryan Gosling kind of, doing that action role again, kind of like what maybe he did in something like like Drive, something like that. So I'd be interested to see how that shakes out. But you can't really judge these things until you actually start seeing a trailer and stuff like that. You can put the best pieces together, and it could still be a piece of shit film. I think Bruce Campbell had something like that, where it was the movie Congo, where they had all these professionals on it. It was from a book by Michael Crichton, who had written Jurassic Park. And this was post Jurassic Park, so he was on everybody's minds at the time. So you had everything going for that movie, and it wound up being a god awful piece of shit. We actually did that for the first episode of Rated R Riffs that we did last June, I believe, was when we did that. Which, by the way, we will be bringing back Rated R Riffs, I believe, at some point this weekend. We're going to try. So if not, then maybe we'll push it to next weekend. But either way, that's kind of getting off topic here. But the thing is that I think this movie has potential, and I like what I'm seeing so far. And like I said, as a business decision for Netflix, that's kind of is a little bit up in the air for me. But aside from that, I like the actual project itself. I'm interested to see where it goes. I like the actors that are in it, and I like the director, or the directors, I should say. But I want to know what you think. Do you think The Gray Man is going to be a really good movie for Netflix? Do you like the fact that the Russos are doing it and they got Chris Evans and Ryan Gosling to star? Have you read the books? Do you like the books? Do you think that they can make a faithful adaptation of it and it can work? As usual, put your thoughts in the comments below. I like to read them. And don't forget to hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?